Ryzen 7000 is not what I expected. This is a huge minute for me. My profession had long started with the launch of the extremely first Ryzen CPUs in 2017, fast forward 5.5 years, and the socket that I cut my teeth on as a tech reporter is lastly at the end of its life process. Utilizing the brand new M5 socket, AMD's Ryzen 7000 assures not just to measure up to the tradition they developed with Ryzen, but likewise to embarrass the competitors in the same way they remained in the previous times, and a lot more remarkably, they might be bucking market patterns when it comes to performance. I may not require to purchase a brand new power supply. What I do require is to inform you about our sponsor important. The Crucial site includes online tools that make it simple to discover suitable memory and advised upgrades with compatibility for more than 175,000 systems. You can discover the best upgrade in less than 1 minute at Crucial. AMD's. The huge statements of the day were all focused around the Ryzen 9 7950X. The 16-core 32-thread monster of a CPU that can improve approximately an incredible 5.7 GHz, making it an enormously flexible piece of silicon from AMD's standards, which we ought to take with a grain of salt. It carries out about 15% much better, usually over the outbound 5950X in 1080p video gaming, and as much as a massive 40% much better in content development compared to Intel's Core i9-12900K. It's either as excellent or approximately 24% much faster, depending upon the video game, and as much as 62% much faster in content production. Now, this depends considerably on the work and brought invoices by revealing the V-Ray renderer operating on both chips. Now mind, your V-Ray is more tailored towards GPU calculation, however this shows the larger style concepts that are taken into the brand new Zen 4 cores, built on what AMD calls a specific N5 procedure established in close cooperation with time. The brand new chips achieved their efficiency targets, while decreasing color location by 18, regardless of the addition of brand new functions, consisting of the notorious AVX512, that Intel deprecated for Alder Lake instead of consuming pass-away location with devoted area for this, and is utilizing the existing 256-bit structures. A double pump or DDR plan, which they state, triggers less clock and speed changes as all those transistors are continuously altering state and crunching on those huge numbers. However, hold up. A second AVX512 is not for video gaming, and Intel's basically deserted it. Why is AMD welcoming it? Well, AMD claims that AVX512 will provide Ryzen an efficiency increase in deep knowing work, which Intel has committed guidelines for the long, and the accept is that it must enhance efficiency while having very few drawbacks and a die. That's half the size of the competitors. However, obviously, this is something we'll need to evaluate for ourselves. However, maybe the most crucial repercussion of this shrunken die is power performance. The tech market has been headed down the dark course of ever-increasing power draw for a while now, and with the statement that the Ryzen 9 7950X's GDP would increase by 62%. Numerous in the tech market feared that Ryzen 7000 would be another example of tossing more power at the issue. Fortunately for us, it declares that this was done on the 7950X, nearly totally for the additional headroom, and in operation, the brand new chips have been considerably much better in efficiency per watt than Ryzen 5000. Utilizing the 16-core Ryzen 9s is an example. The 7950X handles 62% lower power draw for the same efficiency, or gets 49 more efficiencies for the very same power draw, most remarkably at a repaired 65 watt up. That number grows to 74%, much better efficiency, which would imply that instead of the brand new chips being insatiably power starving, they're, in fact, a lot more effective. I'm not exactly sure that this isn't spin. Till I see it myself, this is very interesting for future effectiveness development. If real, when it comes to how they've handled it, informs me that it's an approximately 60-40 split in between the physical die diminish, in addition to some tweaks in the style and all the lessons found out in the mobile area, consisting of the brand new 6 nanometers, I/O pass away with the brand new integrated graphics processor. Now, they didn't talk excessively about that brand new APU in the discussion. They state that it's not going to be as effective as what you may discover in an app, that its main function is to bring up and broaden display screens and to unload velocity functions for video encode and decipher. They particularly stated that it would not be something that individuals anticipate to video game, which naturally suggests that individuals are going to attempt and video game on them like begun, as we reported in the past. All of the brand new chips are going to have this brand new iGPU. Thanks to the I/O pass away, and if you're not GPU restricted, you're going to get a lot more efficiency in video games, since AMD has even more enhanced the front end with some tweaks and a doubled up L2 cache, offering the Ryzen 97950X an overall of 80 megabytes of combined money to have fun with, as anybody who's followed our increasing protection from the day. One understands that keeping the monster fed is half the fight, and this must assist enormously. AMD's screening revealed 13 directions per clock uplift over Ryzen 5000. Thanks to these tweaks to style. What will likewise assist is the shift to pure DDR5 for the brand new socket M5, when they had formerly anticipated 8 to 10%, and those clocks are much greater. The nerdiest amongst you, like myself, will currently understand this. However, TLDR socket M5 is a brand new platform that lastly shifts to utilizing a land grid range like Intel or Threadripper. Today, rather of a pin grid variety as the previous generation Ryzen processors utilized. This increases the pin density, in this case 1718, and lowers the probability that you'll break your CPU simply by putting it down incorrectly. No word yet if they'll require that $8 Walmart CPU frame to prevent flexing. However, the additional pins will permit more power to stream to the socket, as much as 230 watts, and permit more bandwidth to win from DDR5 memory and PCI Express Gen 5. Which comes requirement on all chipsets for the NVMe storage that instates we'll see in November, but for the GPU Gen 5 will just be supported on the 2 Severe Series chipset variations. Now in states there is no efficiency distinction in between the chipsets in stock operation, which they ought to vary just in I/O and power shipment for overclocking, which all chipset versions do support. AMD's declaring that they'll support M5 up until a minimum of 2025, which I suggest that's like 2.5 or 3 years from now. Considering that M4 lasted for 2 times as long and was host to 5 entire generations of CPUs, we can just hope that this is a case of pledge provided, and ideally they'll over-provide on their brand new exposition RAM requirements too. This is AMD's answer to Intel's XMP and was revealed a couple of months earlier. However, AMD states that we must see over 15 packages offered at the launch at approximately 6,400 mega transfers per second. XMP memory will still work, however, figures. This will make it a lot much easier for suppliers to fine-tune subtimings for Ryzen and in a normal style. The specification is completely open up to the general public. The prices for the chips themselves haven't altered compared to Ryzen 5000, other than the 16-core Ryzen 9, which is seeing a 100 discount rate for the more recent chip. Like, what is this bizarro land like in this economy? They're gonna not do a discount rate. Anyhow, I do not have the sales information. However, it appears like a great bet that the 5950X didn't offer, in addition to AMD had hoped after its cost walking over the previous generation's 3950X, or possibly they simply felt ashamed to have the most costly desktop CPU on the marketplace, unlike Intel's 12900KS, to take on that now. Rather, surprisingly, the only increased 7 alternatives revealed today was the 7700X, not the 7800X. I would think that AMD will utilize that name for the 3DV cache version in the future, most likely at some point later on this year. They stated possibly early next year. I'm not completely sure. A lot of interesting for players, however, is that AMD's 300 Ryzen 5 7600X relatively takes on and wins versus the Core i9-12900K, a CPU that costs more than 2 times as much as with any claim from the producer. This is something that we're going to need to confirm. However, it's likewise something that we're thrilled for, particularly if there's overclocking headroom readily available, provided it's 5.3 GHz stock max turbo speed. No word yet on any more economical non-excuse, though AMD states that they anticipate the lineup to expand in a comparable method to Ryzen 5000. So we're most likely taking a look at next year, a long time for real spending plan choices from Group Red. This whole occasion had to do with Ryzen, however, AMD being and they simply could not assist. However, talk a bit about our DNA 3 also, which is going to include a 5 nanometer chipset based style. That and claims will offer a 50 efficiency per watt enhancement over present gen Radeon GPUs, once again a big win. If real, besides the looming shadow of RTX 4000, they flaunted a little bit of gameplay as a teaser. However, that's all we got. I think we'll simply need to remain tuned. The too long didn't view, however, is this. Ryzen 7000 looks even more of an upgrade than individuals at first feared, and it does not appear like it's simply gone not be Ryzen 5000 on DDR5. Naturally, these are all things we need to confirm for ourselves once again. I keep stating that, however, it's real and we'll have an evaluation as quickly as we're able to release it. The entire M5 platform, consisting of the 4 CPUs they're introducing with it, will be coming out on September 27th, and AMD states that they're positive about their capability to stay up to date with need. Now we've heard that before, however, hey, we can constantly hope similar. We can constantly wish for action in kind from Group Blue, and a segue to our sponsor Oracle. Oracle's Cloud World occasion is occurring from October 17th to 20th in Las Vegas. Check out the Dev Nucleus area, where you can fulfill the specialists, check out brand new tech and have a great time with fellow designers, and make certain to participate among their lots of function designer sessions, like combined observability for microservices, with Sanjay, Goyal, or Kubernetes, cluster management facilitated with Mickey Boxall. There will likewise be lots of activities like old school game video games, ping pong, boodle, gifts, and Oracle. Utilizing the brand new M5 socket, AMD's Ryzen 7000 guarantees not just to live up to the tradition they developed with Ryzen, but likewise to embarrass the competitors in the very same method they were in the previous times, and even more remarkably, they may be bucking market patterns when it comes to effectiveness. I may not require to purchase a brand new power supply. AMD claims that AVX 512 will provide Ryzen an efficiency increase in deep knowing work, which Intel has committed directions for the long, and the brief of it is that it needs to enhance efficiency while having very few disadvantages and a die. Thanks to the I/O pass away, and if you're not GPU restricted, you're going to get a lot more efficiency in video games, because AMD has even more enhanced the front end with some tweaks and a doubled up L2 cache, offering the Ryzen 97950X an overall of 80 megabytes of combined money to play with, as anybody who's followed our increasing protection from the day. The rates for the chips themselves haven't altered compared to Ryzen 5000, other than the 16-core Ryzen 9, which is seeing a 100 discount rate for the more recent chip. Like, what is this bizarro land like in this economy? Ryzen 7000 looks far more of an upgrade than individuals at first feared, and it does not look like it's simply gone knobby Ryzen 5000 on DDR5.